Hello, everybody, and welcome to VFX and Chill. I am Hashi, and here with me today is the lovely Michael Zalapsky. We are one Seth short for the show today. I was about 20 minutes shy of getting together an intro that I worked really hard on, so I'm very sad that I don't have it ready to go right now. But I do think that I will share it online later. But anyway, as you may have seen from the thumbnail and the little preview beforehand, today we are talking about making digital puppets. We often have on the show guests like Content-Aware Phil or Generative Phil or a handful of other people that you saw in there. Dr. Generic, who does our VFX and Kill episodes. And these are some of my favorite things to do. Let me... I meant to have some clips that I could pull up, but I'm going to open up my thing here. Let's see. Oh,
character design, and then you get to give them little fun voices, and it adds, well, I was going to say it adds character to the show, but that would be a terrible pun that I would never make that sort of joke.
No, definitely not. So I cannot see the comments, but Michael, please let me know if I have the sound worked out yet. I think that we couldn't hear you for the beginning, right. And now maybe I think you're there.
Well, chat, if you could please let us know if you can hear me, that would be great.
Excellent.
Also let us know if you can't hear me. Out Jogging says some audio problems, but has not specified what they are.
Excellent. I think I'm hoping that it was that I did not properly have your audio turned on, and I'm hoping that I'm not repeating or getting an echo from anyone.
Okay, yes, they heard the pun. Audio is good now. Kunami says, if we're about to learn what I see in the thumbnail, they're super excited.
Oh,
John,
yeah?
J.R. Robeck says, best thumbnail ever. Frisbee Chillweather says, forget digital puppets. Forget digital puppets. We want digital Muppets.
Digital Muppets? My goodness, that would be an insane accomplishment if you could make digital Muppets. I mean, it would be... Well, actually, let's see.
Wow, guys, that looks really great.
So the thing that I've been working on this morning that I'm just not quite there, and I'm so sad to not be there, is a little introduction by Muppet Hashi. So I'm going to have to try to get this thing together and working and super comped and stuff like that so I can share it with you later, because it was a lovely... I thought it was cute. I thought it was very cute.
Chris Ranos is also in the chat, says that he can hear both of us, and for some reason Seth shouting in the background, so that's alarming.
Seth shouting in the background.
Speaking of Chris Ranos, folks, if you haven't heard, the new version of Lockdown just released, and it has a very handy feature to send to Cinema 4D, so you get really cool 3D tracking data locked down into your shot, so you can put like 3D things on stuff. The example, little floating boats and a cup of coffee, is just so good. And I'm very excited about Lockdown. And Lockdown now comes with Composite Brush and Paint Link, which are also two very handy tools. Composite Brush is a really neat way to pull keys from some otherwise not so keyable things. When regular keying things fail, Composite Brush is kind of a fun way to do things. So I'm excited about the new version of Lockdown, and the fact that it comes with those extra tools makes it a bigger deal. And so, hey, we're happy to have you in the chat, Mr. Vranos.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody, including Mr. Vranos. We are very, very excited about Lockdown, obviously. So I am going to, let me tell you what we're doing all today. So I broadened the scope too much. I've been saying all week that I am untethered when I don't have Seth here to just every now and then say, no, don't do that. Like, that's going to be too much. Don't do that. So right now, I've just been randomly deciding all these things that I think that I can accomplish, but in truth, probably won't. So really, what I want to try to do is an overview of the reasons why you might have a digital character, sort of like the ones in our little preview stream. Let me open that up, actually, just so we can all take a look at that piece of footage. Where are we? So I've got these silly things in front of it, but here are some of the digital characters that we have created and used over time. So you'll notice some of them are even characters that are, like photographic in nature, and there are ones that are very absurd in nature. So I would love to kind of cover all of them because they're a lot of fun. So the main thing that I think that you would need to decide if you're doing, what did I do? Are we going? Sorry, I couldn't see my own screen. Hey, everyone. I'm very good at running the OBS stream when Seth is not here, in case you hadn't figured it out. So I'm going to pull up my document because I did make myself a cheat sheet because I knew I'd be a little bit disorganized today. But let's talk about the basics. First of all, if you're going to animate a digital character, you have to choose your character. You will need suitable artwork for this thing, and you'll need a message or a joke. I mean, those are the main things. You're either, if you need some kind of a spokesperson or a digital character to do something, you've got to have a reason for them to be doing something, and you have to have the existing artwork to be able to animate it, or an existing model or something like that. So let me see if I can, maybe I'll copy my notes into a place that could be visible to everyone. Let's try this. Let's find some, since we're a big fan of fonts on the show, let's dive in here and grab, let's see, where's my character? I'm living live all of the things that I told myself I would do this morning. Oops, where'd it go? Futura. I just want something very loud for this. Let's see. Let's try. Here we go. This looks semi-professionaler with really tight kerning for some reason. Here we go. This is fun, everyone. You love it. Come tune in for these episodes. All right. So here we go. Strategy. So I got so abstract. So how much movement does your character need? What is the scope of motion you're looking for? And what are your abilities? Do you know how to use a 3D program like Cinema 4D? Do you know how to use After Effects pretty well? Are you more of a Flash or Adobe Illustrator kind of person? There are many different types of ways you could approach this. And another huge distinction would be 2D and 3D. Today, I'm going to focus a lot on 2D, and hopefully by the end, maybe we'll go a little bit over some of the bizarro 3D techniques. But honestly, I love creating all these wackadoo kind of characters and creating them in a very big variety of ways. In fact, here's my unfiltered notes right here. So the tools you could use when you do this, could you just perform it as an actor? Could you dress in a costume and do that? Because if you can do it without having to create an entirely digital character, you've saved yourself a bunch of work, which is really cool. So do that. If not, here are the different tools that I like to use. We've got Adobe After Effects, and Adobe After Effects is really going to be the hub for almost everything, I think. Even if I'm creating assets somewhere else, it's really likely that I'm going to do my finishing and compositing in Adobe After Effects. Photoshop is great for prepping assets to be used in there. Adobe Character Animator is a way to do live pseudo, I don't know what you'd call it, 2.5D motion capture for something like a live stream or something. There's Moves by Maxon. If you want to move into the 3D realm, you can immediately use Moves by Maxon to capture your face in 3D, and it'll bring in a texture and the movement of your mesh, which you can attach things to. You can transpose into different, you can utilize their blend shapes to drive a different model. You've seen us do that with a variety of things like Velociraptor heads and stuff. And nowadays, one of the stumbling blocks you would come up with if you were trying to create a digital character is you're either working on a movie or a show or something like that where there's a designed character, and so the art department is providing you with a design and a completed thing or completed 3D assets, But if you're doing something like, but if you're just working on your computer, we suddenly have these really wonderful ways to get assets, including stable diffusion. Midjourney is what I wrote down here because I've been having a lot of fun with generating things with Midjourney, including this lovely piece that you may have seen on the Twitters. Let me see.
While you're figuring things out, Hashi, I'm not seeing your screen through my end of things. The YouTube stream can see you, but I personally cannot.
Okay, I'm glad that the YouTube stream can, because that would have been a little embarrassing. Let me just see if there's a way that I can get Michael to get to see the stream. Did that refresh it for you?
There we go. I see it. Thank you. Rigby Chillother says, with the list, this is turning into TED VFX.
Oh my gosh.
And Dances for Peas says that they expect next week's episode to be presented by Muppet Hashi, Seth, and Mike. We could do that, actually, using Adobe Character Animator, because you can pipe the output of Character Animator into, or as a webcam source out. So we could genuinely have Puppet Us.
And one really cool thing to note is that Character Animator is a fantastic, it's very similar to the way that you, if you've ever animated a character in a paper doll style, which means that you have every piece of the character broken up into little bits. You put their anchor points where their things are, and you move them around and you animate them. That's one way that you could start doing that type of work. But now that we have generative fill, if you start with one character design, you can use generative fill to create a lot of the other pieces that you would need for something like Character Animator. So we'll do some examples of that later. I'm not going to pipe them into Character Animator specifically, but I'm going to show you techniques along those lines. Here's my big old thing of text again. But there are... Goodness gracious.
Well, I love that it's more than half.
These weren't meant to be titles. These were just, this is my notes over here, but I feel like I want some mild visual aid over here. But there are multiple phone apps and things like that you could use. Oh, I forgot that if you edit the text, I guess it doesn't stay in my maximized panel. There are some, oh, sorry, I skipped over one. Runway ML now has Gen 2, which is a generative video. We do have access to that, which is really cool. So perhaps we'll try generating some animated characters using Runway today. We also have several phone apps, which are a very low rent and easy way to do something. Like if you can just find a Snapchat filter that you really like, you can record a video in Snapchat with a variety of different types of face filters and things like that. There is a pretty fun little app called Avatarify that I use sometimes. I used it for things like, I think the laughing Seth and Hashi from our vintage episode where we had, I'll pull that up right now, our old-timey episode. Where is it? Renders. Where is old-timey Seth and Hashi? Oop. I want to see some thumbnails. It'll be so much more visually exciting. Here we go. So these two guys are talking in our little intro to that episode. Where are we? I want to see them. I want to see them moving around. This is what you get when you only have half of the team here, everyone. But I appreciate your patience in the meantime. Where's our cute little talking Seth and Hashi? I want to
put down. It's there somewhere. I swear
it was there, right?
I saw it. I saw it. You had a bunch of MP4s there, and I saw a couple that looked like they might be then.
There's like our thumbnail,
down
which isn't it. There's our. Well, here's one that I did with it. This is, I needed a specific shot of Vin Diesel, and I didn't have an animated one, so I used Avatarify, which you load in an image of someone, and then you can move your face around. And in this case, the the result that I got looked like that. Let me see if I can find the original element that got.
I just saw it just a second ago. But all right, so you're saying that you
So
acted as yourself to drive a digital puppet of yourself for the
precisely.
old-timey intro?
Mm-hmm. So we, yeah. So I took a little app because I only had this generated image, which was a combination of Midjourney and some photoshopping in here to get this lovely vintage version of us. But then to puppet them, I needed to do and use something else. So anyway, let's save. Let's import something new. I think that I had started to put together a little bit of things that I wanted to show you on the show today in this file right here. Let's find them. So we have, here's an exciting spread of characters. And you know what? I'm just gonna pull over my,
Are all of these digital creations?
So over here is a source video. And over here are two very stylistically different kinds of characters. But this is a tool called First Order Motion Model that I sometimes use for things online. And I know that I'm talking about all sorts of things. We're like 20 minutes in and I haven't done anything yet. Does everyone
We will
gets
do them shortly, folks.
that there are so many ways to create characters and animate them, and it's a lot of fun to do so. So yeah, so here's a fun and very, it's kind of a weird interface to use it, but there's just a website that will do this. You upload a video, you upload an image, and as long as they have similar framing and a recognizable face to the AI, like I'm happy that that this was close enough to a human face that it tried. You'll see that it's not not the most accurate in terms of its details. George here looked a lot more like a real human, but you can see that a lot of the talking doesn't carry through tremendously or whatever. But there is actually a whole other way that I would go about doing this kind of a thing. So motion capture driving video is really fun, and but let's start with something much more simple. Let's close this down. Let's save it. And I'm going to open up this, whoops, blah. All right, I want to open up my weird little intro set of characters so I can show you all how they're working.
So glad you don't have any like beta software giveaways in your folder structure titling.
Oh, of course not. Why? That would be horrible. All right, so
I was real close to putting out a tutorial once that had something in the screenshot. I was like, no. I was gonna give away something to a few people.
So for social, I made this bizarre little post. It actually started with just making a thumbnail for the YouTube spot, and then I decided, hey, I should animate this because I said that we're going to be animating digital puppets today. And so here is an example of all 2D animation, but what I love about it is that Midjourney enabled me to get this really cool base image, and then I could use some of the skills that I would use in general to animate, say, a piece of artwork or something else like that that I'd done before, but on this fresh creation, which is really cool. So let's say we get a little bit of audience participation stuff going, and I would love to hear of maybe a character and or like a character type and or celebrity type or something like that y'all would be interested in us doing as a test case for today. And we can run it from the ground up all the way through, giving them a little bit of life. So Michael, just let me know what you see there in the chats. I'm going to see if I can get more clear access to the chat. I thought it used to preview for me somewhere here, but I'm somehow not seeing it right now.
The chat is currently asking how you make this stuff, but because you just ran through a ton
I did. I
of
ran
different
through
tools that you do
everything.
sometimes. So
All
yeah.
right.
So so just hang on, Chad. We'll get to showing most of those off at some point, possibly.
We will. That's a perfect way to say that. Okay. So
Stu Mashwitz says rowboat cop,
RoboCop,
like rowboat, not robot. Rowboat cop.
Rowboat
Vlad Nick
Cop.
Heaton says they want Tom Bruce, I assume playing Ethan Hurt. Uh, Trigby Chillweather wants Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin. Big Out Jogging Pictures wants Bigfoot. Chris Vrano says you can always default to imposter Seth because Seth loves when we make AI versions of him. Ryan Honan wants famous music artist / crazy person Kanye West. John J.R. Robeck wants Nic Cage O Raptor. Andrew Smith wants Ryan Gosling in Oppenheimer. Very funny little Barbie Oppenheimer crossover joke.
Clever.
And Adrian Jensen Custom Collectibles just wants Seth.
Just wants Seth. Just plain old Seth. Let's see. Oh, here's me upscaling.
Now
making
Stu is suggesting Seth as RoboCop.
Seth as RoboCop could be pretty fun. Let's see. I'm going to go to here for a second. So I just because I don't remember what I need to log into to try to make Midjourney something that maybe we can all do together. Because it's okay. I think we're good. Does this tell? What does this say? You can find me on Discord. I don't care. It's fine. All right, we're back. So let's ask this lovely
Is that Ryan Connolly?
Yeah. So last night we had the urgent idea to try to figure out how to add Ryan Connolly to our bizarro world of Sesame Street characters, etc. I think we ended up with this scenario right here. That Ryan was actually took this photo, or was there during this publicity still from our Sesame Street show.
Sesame Street is
Sesame
such a good title
Street.
for that. And I love that I'm a rubber ducky with hair.
I absolutely, I am so in love with this Michael Duck. I don't know what is so perfect about it, but it's the greatest. I love Michael the Duck. All right, so let's see. What do we have? We have Seth as RoboCop. We have let's see, hair helmet. We got Seth as Ken. Seth as Barbie. Man, it sounds, Seth, if you don't come to the show, it feels like people really decide
want him here in some
go
way.
after you. So I'm curious to see what might happen if let's see.
I'm curious to see how many times I could go to the theater to watch the Barbie movie. I'm guessing more than one.
Let's see. What if I just said, imagine Nic Cage in the Barbie movie? Just let's see what that does. All right.
Looks
My
like it
credits are exhausted.
does
Come on.
Money exchange. How could you
What?
possibly run out of credits?
How did I run out of
credits?
credits? What?
Oh, Andrew Smith. Andrew Smith says that they miss Seth, but not the busy logo. If only Seth were here, you could have a nice busy logo.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry y'all missed the busy logo. I'll have to figure that out. My goodness. Fine. I'm gonna purchase 2 hours for you monsters. I just want to see my Nic Cage in the Barbie movie.
I mean, is the Barbie movie even in Midjourney's frame of reference at this point?
I think that
Are
it
they
would just
still
contact.
frantically scraping everything off the internet?
I think that that it would be,
Did you know that the supplier to the set design team for the Barbie movie ran low on pink paint?
Oh, did he? Or she?
Yeah, the company that supplied them, that they were using for their supplies, the company that was making the sets for the Barbie movie, they ran out of pink. Well, almost. It got low on pink.
All right, so we can start off with one of these as inspiration because this is what Midjourney is all about. It's about endlessly falling into to the pursuit of creating lovely imagery.
Might have to specify it's a live action Barbie movie, not not an actual Barbie doll. Although this is fantastic.
No, this is kind of fantastic because it's definitely a caricature kind of thing. Let's
That
see.
one looks like Nic Cage the most.
This does look like Nic Cage the most. Let me grab some. Well, first let's see. I'll upscale that one, and then I can do some subtle variations on it. Okay, so here's this. This is a great. That's a great Nic Cage Barbie. So let's save this image, and we'll save it right there. And then we will. I'll just one time we'll do a subtle variations button, which if you don't know, there's this button in Midjourney now, and you can get either strong variations or subtle variations. Let's see if any of these variations are better. Is this live update? I don't remember. As it refines, maybe not. We'll see. The tension, everybody. This is exciting. But what's really cool is that we'll be able to do some really cool stuff with this imagery in just a moment.
And a reminder for folks, Midjourney scrapes pretty much all the things without asking anyone's permission. And so that's why you can get things like Barbie and Nic Cage in it, because it just knows all of what these things are, versus something like Adobe's generative fill and Adobe Firefly, which only scrapes. It doesn't even scrape. It just has been given Adobe stock, and people explicitly gave it permission to use it to train their AI. So everything you get out of Photoshop will be like legally usable because you're not fussing with real people or real brands, which is nice.
Precisely. So let's open up these two variations, and then we'll start there on our journey. I am opening up Photoshop Beta because that's just a fantastic place to get to work these days. Let's open up both of our characters. So here are the two. I'll maybe copy them into the same document. Okay, so we have A and B. This one's maybe a little bit more caricatured. This one's a little bit more canned out. What do you think? Any feeling on this? I know we got to wait 20 seconds until...
JC says, sorry, got to get back to work. Hopefully this will still be able to watch later. Yes, the replay for this is going to be on the Red Giant YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
So if you're watching one of the other places this is live streaming and you want to catch up on it later or catch up on previous episodes of the show, just go to the Red Giant YouTube channel, youtube.com/Red Giant, and there's a whole playlist of VFX and Chill on there with all of our past episodes.
All right, so let's start with this one, just
B
for fun.
is what they're saying.
B. Oh, now I don't remember what was B.
Chat says B.
I think this was B.
I think it was A. Was that A or B?
See, I've gone too long.
Neither one of us have very long attention spans.
You know what? I like that this one's a more neutral face, so I'm just going to make the executive decision. So I'm going to get rid of that layer and just start with this. And it's always good to save your work. So I'm going to save this as a Photoshop file, and we'll call this Nic Puppet Prep. And in the old days, there were a lot of things that you could do at this point if you were going to create a puppet version of this that you could move around. One way to animate this in in After Effects is with the actual puppet tool, which is, placing a bunch of pins along this, like a little voodoo doll, and then moving pieces around, and it sort of warps and bends, things like that. It does look like a Celebrity Deathmatch version of Nic Cage. So if I were getting started on something like this, one of the coolest things in Photoshop is that it has these smart buttons and things like that you could say, I'm obviously going to animate this character, so I'm just going to say remove background. And honestly, that
worked stunningly well with one click.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. I remember doing multiplanes after the kid stays in the picture was popular and everyone needed them for TV shows. That put me through college, which is crazy. So if I could have done this and just pressed a button, I would have loved that.
Seriously, like the amount of work that does, so much faster.
Ridiculous. So what it does is it applies it as a mask too. So so it's not even destructive. But I am actually just going to copy it out. So I have a full copy right here. And let's do a couple of different approaches so you can see two of the tools that I might use in an instance like this. So for one, let's add a very simple and keyable blue background. I don't know why. I like the look of blue screens. I miss blue screens, you know. So
Adrian Jensen says, not sure what he's supposed to be holding, but to them it's a pink lightsaber. I think it's supposed to be like one of those old-timey microphones that some hosts in old TV shows are supposed to have, but feel free to suggest in the chat what you think he might be holding in his hand.
And you know, it's a family show. So we're going to say I'm going to export this as a little PNG or something like that because I like tangents. And so I'm going to try two different things. Let's call this low-res Nic. And then I'm going to open up I will share the site with you in a second. I just want to verify that I have the right one here. All right. So right here, if you look for, you can find this quite easily. Type in first order motion model. I think if you just type in first order motion model, you will likely get this as one of the first hits. You can type collab because I want to use a collab file. I'm not smart enough to do the whole get, pull things, run them, whatever. So this one is really, really simplified. A collab file is basically a little process that will run partly remotely and partly on your own system, depending on what you have it set at. So I'm going to run this thing that was not authored by Google. It lets me know. It does, basically, it'll often have a prerequisites kind of box at the top. I was very terrified by the whole idea of a collab and what they look like when I first saw them, and I thought, there's no way. But honestly, it's really just, it's one button there, and you see this little stop button go around, and then it says it's completed in 14 seconds. This might be behind our heads. But then there's a second box with a play button, and I can press play on that, and it'll do all of this stuff right here. And literally, it's loading some prerequisites, and it's going to build a little interface for us to work in remotely, which is kind of cool. And luckily, I have just some perfect things for this example. So back here, no, I have no idea how long this particular section takes to run. I feel like it's less than a minute. There we go. So first order motion, what is it? First order model motion, blah, 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 blah. It likes to take things that are in a 1:1 ratio. So it has a bunch of example people you can do, but you upload just a still image. So in this case, let's upload that low-res image of Nic Cage right there. And here in the video category, I'm going to upload this piece of footage that I shot ahead of time, which I used for that for the previous example where you saw a little George Lucas talking and a little other person talking. Just film yourself in a boring situation. You don't even need to be in front of a blue background. But the more similar these are, the more quickly it'll identify the same faces and everything like that. So you upload a video, upload the image, and it's going to generate you a very low resolution thing. So it's going to start processing that in the background, actually surprisingly quickly. Oh, this is probably just loading up the program it's going to run in the background. I'm going to try to stay focused on just this one until we're done, instead of jumping back and forth between this and Photoshop puppeting. Because this one is less work, in case this is all you need. If you just need your Nic Cage Ken to say something stupid, let's do it right here. Okay, here's the actual processing. And the processing of it takes about 30 seconds. That's pretty cool. It is, again, 256 pixels big. So that's the big that's the drop off for this, is that it's trained on very low resolution images because it's trying to just get the idea of motion of faces and identify all the markers in a face. And it doesn't need hyper complicated things. It actually gets harder to train things the higher resolution they get, not just because of the computational abilities, but because of you can't generalize as much the more data you have in an image. It's difficult. So I suggest with many AI tools working in a lower resolution and then counting on AI to up-res it later. Look what we've got. We've got it right here. And let's check it out. Hey. Let's see it. Let's download this. Okay, let's make it bigger.
Does that convert to 1920 by 1080 button anything useful?
I saw that because that was added just in the last, since the last time I was here. So I was like, "Oh, cool!" And then I went in, and it was like, "Here's literally that bicubic sampled up to 1920 by 1080." So nothing. So Nic output. All right. Good gravy. Okay, let's try to play this again. Actually, let's play it in After Effects because we can take a look at it there a little bit better. Let's load up what we just output. We got low res. Where did I store them? I stored them here. Nic output and that. Let's put them together in a little thing here. Single composition, and let's make this twice as wide so we can do a comparison. This definitely looks like it's like
that
a
looks like
mugshot.
a Hashi mugshot.
It really is.
100%.
So knock yourself out if you want to grab a
said it right.
screen cap right now. Actually, I'm kind of since we have the technology, I feel like we should just really quickly. I forgot to grab a still from it. Let's just copy that to clipboard. Let's go to Photoshop. New. I'm getting distracted by my own side tangents that were supposed to be for other people. Image, crop, and then let's uncrop. Do. All right, there we go. Select pixels, select inverse, expand a few pixels, and generative fill mug shot of a desperate man. And I'm certain if you're watching our show, you know what generative fill in Photoshop is. It is the ability to use a safe. What, dude? And it made me just like cool. Why am I not doing anything mugshot-ish? What if I just said mugshot?
I mean, it depends on the mugshot.
I guess it's like the clean
mugshots.
I just feel like I should be holding like a plate of numbers, but then again, Midjourney doesn't love to serve up a plate full of numbers. So let me see if I just type the word mugshot.
AI is not good. AI is not good at putting text in images yet.
A problem occurred, it says. I don't know if I'm running up against a community guidelines violation because mugshot could imply criminality somehow. I don't know. Ooh. Well, this just makes me cool and hanging out in a thing. Look at that.
Yeah, where is it putting you?
Where's
these all look like vacation photos from some trip to Asia.
Yeah, like what if I just
or the
select
Middle East,
this section and said mugshot? This is entirely a try to make Hashi into a mugshot episode now. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry if you wanted to see anything else.
A mugshot of your arrest during your international travel. Speaking of which, Mission Impossible just released in theaters.
It did. If you have not shared the... There we go. That's all I wanted. Was that so hard? Ooh, I got pimponed. I love these messages. I would love to know what it believes in any of these scenarios it was saying. Anyway, shall we look at this example? That honestly, it's funny because the expressions actually look like Nic Cage's expressions.
I mean, Nic Cage, but with a Ken smile. It's very creepy.
Ooh.
That little shrug.
So honestly, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to get. But obviously, just so you know, it's not the quality of the stream here. This literally is 256 pixels, which means that there's very little information going into this right here. So,
okay, occasionally this looks like Ryan Gosling, which makes it the casting.
I mean, it's still pretty cool. So, here's the issue you run into using that particular technique, the first order motion, is that you end up with something very low resolution, and it doesn't really know how to do better than that. But one way that we can do better than that, and let's see, let me just save this as a PNG. So we'll call this I don't know. This is the lousy version of this. Too low res.
Alonso Perez Yaxik says, where does Photoshop get the texts from? From photos of signs or papers and whatnot.
So there are a couple of different ways to try to work with low resolution imagery. Actually, one is right within Photoshop. I didn't even think about that. Let's open that up again.
So, yeah, well, I mean, once you're holding a sign, you can then in Photoshop just add whatever you want to it.
Precisely.
Or in After Effects.
Yeah, so you can absolutely change what's there. Where did I save that? Didn't I? I thought I saved an image, didn't I? Called too low res. Where did I save it?
Too low res, too furious.
Too low res, too furious. Did I not? Did I just not press render? Dang it, Hashi. So here, if you have a low resolution image, you could go in Photoshop, which we're assuming you have here, since this is the episode. You can go to filter, neural filters, and one of these filters is called super zoom. So I'll turn that on, and you can see up here, basically the controls on this. The controls were confusing to me, but the controls are here. You can say zoom in 3 times and enhance face details, sharpen it a bit, and reduce the noise, and remove the JPEG artifacts. And it's weird because it's not very helpful, this little preview you're seeing here. But if you go down to here, you can see that what it's going to do is it's going to output this to a new document, if you're wondering how it's going to up-res something. So this is definitely better than that, because here's the bicubic, or I assume zooming in like that is bicubic, and then this, you can see it attempted a little bit of sharpening and smoothing out of things to up-res it. There are also programs like Topaz AI where you can open an image like that and go to this too low res situation. It'll automatically assess. Hopefully it'll assume that I'm trying to up-res 2 faces and try to recover the detail from those faces, and it'll give me a little preview right here. Let's see what Topaz would do on its default settings. And I would say that's a step better, for sure, than the super resolution. There are additional controls you have in here, so you can...
So it still looks a little over-sharpened, but stunningly good.
Stunningly good.
The dotted face thing is coming out nice.
Mm-hmm. And you can dial up the remove blur button, which might sharpen it a little bit more. You can suppress the noise a little bit and get something like that. If you don't have access to Topaz, then one last way you can up-res low-resolution image like this, and I think it is quite cool, is called, there's this technique called, I guess, code former. So Jason Murphy made me hip to this, which is kind of cool. It's another collab file. So as you'll recall, a collab file, they always look kind of like this, and they're a series of little boxes with little cells to run that will install the prerequisites on a remote machine, or if you copy it to your own box, then you can run it on your machine. I'm going to terminate the other sessions. I'm going to run code former, which is a very simple up-res kind of thing. Man, we've made it very far into the episode. I feel like I'm, again, not giving out all the information that I want to give out.
I mean, we're talking about different ways to up-res a still image, which is very useful for many things.
We are. I mean, a lot of these AI-style tools will give you low-res output, and it's really worth, I think, knowing if you do want to be able to utilize these like free and accessible tools, but you need better resolution because you're trying to do something worthwhile. Use these kind of things. And in fact, many of these have an option to be able to upload an image sequence or something like that. So let's see, this is still running in the background. Now it's ready. Test on your own images. Let's upload an image. Let's upload our too low resolution to code former, and we'll see what it has to say. So it'll upload this image, and then the upreser looks like this. It has very few options. It has a fidelity slider. The higher the number, the fidelity is, the more it'll resemble the original image. But the lower the number is, the more it'll force it toward something that it recognizes as very photographic. So its example is kind of like here. Like sometimes you might get a mid-journey result that has some weirdness in the face or whatever, and it'll know that's probably supposed to be a face, and so it'll try to sharpen it in a better way, like that. So,
in other news, that woman is cool, and I want to be her friend.
Everybody should be friends with. I don't even know what kind of owl it is. It's like a snow owl that is majestic. It's an AI image, but
it looks like a barn owl.
Barn owl. All right, so let's set it at 70%. We'll have background enhance. We don't really need the background to be enhanced at all, but we will also check face upsample to upsample restored faces for high-resolution AI-created images. So let's run this. I think that it'll run very fast. It pulls it up right here. Blah, 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 blah. It'll probably say that it's recognizing two faces, I hope. Face detection model. Background sampling true. Face upsampling true. Processing to low res.png. Detected two faces. That's what we were hoping for. Hooray. All results are saved. Let's visualize them. Ba-ba-da-bum. This is just its own little... You don't need to use this thing. So there you go. Look at that. So here's our input. Fuzzy.
Ooh, it really sharpened the sparkle in your eye.
Yeah.
Get your facial hair looking more like hair again.
And also, there's always this file bank over here on the side of all these collab things. And in fact, you can connect these right to your Google Drive in case you have like an image sequence saved on your Google Drive and you want to be able to load it into this thing and then back. But you'd have to be willing to trust the machine with your drive. So I'm not going to strongly recommend that. I'll let you read the warnings for yourself.
Ryan, this is code former, a Google collab thing.
Yes, this is a great way to up-res something. Like say you had source images that were too low resolution to possibly work with, and you've been trying to up-res them in Photoshop or whatever, and you're just not getting it. So this is the size of the output. Look at this. So you can see that what it does is it's replicated my face in a latent space where it knows what like eyebrows and eyes and eyelashes and stubble look like at this resolution. and it has reconstructed my face entirely. None of this is the original image, which is pretty cool. So if you haven't watched a good 2-minute papers on latent space, you should go do that. And here is the Nic Cage, and you'll notice this is great, but one of the drawbacks was that it's using CodeFormer. It's trying to use sampled humans in a latent space and recreated that image, and it's made it look more human. Which
much less like a doll.
Much less like a doll. So that is interesting. So let's save this result to our digital puppets folder, just in case. Maybe we can do something with it later. Almost human Nick. You see, my naming conventions are so bulletproof, you know. Look where we were. It's really great that we were able to get to the point that we.
Oh yeah, I forgot where we came from.
We came from here. Man, look at this. Yeah. See, this is a great toy, Nick, right here. This is what we really wanted. So if I were going to try to bring this to life via like traditional puppeteering in After Effects, this is a great start. Just having the having this guy nicely keyed out so I can puppet tool or whatever. One of the other fun things that I could do, and I'm just going to turn this blue background on again. And I could have done this in Midjourney, I suppose. Should we do it in Midjourney? Should we add pants in Mid? No, we'll add pants in Photoshop. That's where I'm always adding pants anyway. So here's a fun way to use generative fill. Generative fill does want to fill in everything. Like for it doesn't like a transparent background. It'll just fill in whatever your selection is. So I'm going to turn this back on. I'm going to go to my image canvas size. Let's do this the old school way, 2048. Oops. All right, we'll add some more down here. So I'm just going to select this area of the image like that and just click on generative fill and say generate. I'm not going to type in anything.
Oh, it's always fun to think what the computer thinks that should be in a space.
We'll see if we get the warning that it can't show it.
Oh, so exciting.
Oh, wow.
What are our options?
So we've got that.
That one?
We've got this. Oh, he's hidden another dead body in his pocket and is trying to look
the legs look better.
Okay, so we got closer here, which is kind of neat. And one of the cool things about generative fill is that it's iterative. So if I wanted to, I can say this monstrosity, I don't know what's going on there. So I can just select that and press generative fill without typing anything. Because I'd really like to see. Oh, yes. That's fair. That's fair.
It thinks you're trying to make genitals.
Yeah, it does.
Tell hand. Just say hand.
Okay, hand.
The chat is really liking option 3, by the way, from the previous results.
Oh,
when I say the chat, I mean in this case Frigby Chillweather.
Hey, Frigby, Oh.
Well. No.
I mean.
No. No.
Okay.
To that option. Better, but still doesn't make you. There we go. That looks like a doll doing it. Is that a white supremacy hand gesture?
See, Barbie Nic Cage, damn it.
I kind of want to see what version 3 was that Frigby Chillweather has gone to the extreme measure of using 2 exclamation points for.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, this has a lot more character to it, I think. I also love that it decided to add a nice little
there's a ground.
Change the background a little bit, you know? It's cool. So we get to this stage, and it's annoying because, we had that alpha, and now we don't have the alpha anymore or whatever. But I can go ahead and, I could just collapse all of these down like that, and then say remove background again.
Mr. Meerkat is suggesting that you're
Look at
the doll hand, by the way.
Okay, let's see what we get. Generative fill, doll hand.
Frigby is saying that they would buy those boots.
Generative fill. Plastic doll hand. I promise I'm being clean here, Photoshop.
I've had Firefly give itself images it thinks are incorrect.
Oh, you went so
Closer.
plastic.
There we go. Just the scale's wrong.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, I'll just run it one more time, same prompt. So we know it at least works. And then we'll get to the digital puppeteering. I mean, don't disregard that we already have this gem.
Yeah.
Like, look at
Which is
look at the way it does.
Figure out the head, the back side of the head.
When he turns this way, look. I mean, my eyebrows do not give any of this vector, but Nic Cage often makes that face, which I'm so confused about. Like, it's his looking into the sun, Con Air happy face, right there. So, like, it bizarrely stays in Nic Cage character. Like, he transcends. This is pretty fascinating right here. So, know that we could already have this result, which is great. And one of the things that's really fun to do is if you're prepping something like this, is you put it over a blue background, you cut out the chin altogether, and then you basically have the face. And then you can use that as its own layer and put it on top of this business in After Effects. And then you got the band back together. God darn. Why would you think the hand is that big? I don't know. Photoshop was supposed to be showing me that it was very good at finishing your images when you just had a little bit of a start and you needed more imagery. And honestly, it is pretty good at it, right? I mean, we're here already. Okay. I think I actually kind of like this one.
That's the best looking one so far.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's going to be the one. So I'm going to click on remove background and hope that it gets rid of just that. Yay, it did. All right. So to make this guy more animated, there are a couple of things that I used to do in the past. I used to do things like, let's apply the layer mask first. I would say I want to break up any part of them that I think will be helpful to animate with. The eyebrows are obviously something that's very expressive in characters, and so I would probably want to isolate the eyebrows. And I don't know if I would use the whole forehead, maybe. The whole forehead could be nice because then, you'd get some wrinkles with this if you wanted to puppet tool it separately. So I could Control J, have a second copy of that. And so you see the idea is that, you could then move the whole
Oh, yeah, look at that.
forehead with a thing. You could also, if it's like a Muppet, you could disconnect the eyebrow entirely and like slide it all around, or if it's a 2D cartoon, you can. But if it's a human character, you want some forehead action in there too, because the forehead and its wrinkles are part of the eyebrow. So you could start breaking up your face like this, and you could say like brow, name that layer, hide it. But then the problem is you have eyebrows right behind it. And so nowadays,
cover up the real eyebrows.
You could just select this area and say, no eyebrows. It's like, what? He has no eyebrows. And
I think you might want to use the remove tool in this case, which is the same thing, but just it knows more that you want to remove things.
That's a good point.
Yes. Although that works.
Yes.
Kind of.
Oh gosh, it's like.
What are our options?
Oh, let's see. Okay, our options are A, B. There we go.
That's better.
Oof.
2.
We'll go with 2. 2 is nice and smooth. So now.
Yep, he's been waxed.
Waxed. And so we can either, oops, sorry, let me mute my exciting announcements here.
Caleb, you joined at the exact right time, where we have Nicolas Cage as a Ken doll, and we are turning him into a digital puppet.
We are.
You've arrived at the exact right time.
We want to do some cool stuff. So here we go. So now we have this lovely brow. So we'll be able to animate that separately in just a teeny bit. One of the things I could do is if I just isolate the brow like that, I'm going to select the eyebrows like that. Whoops. Actually, maybe I can select the skin. The idea is I actually do kind of want just the eyebrows for a second, because if I have this area selected, we're just going to go a little wider. Sorry, everybody. Okay, I'm selecting these extra pixels on the side, and then I'm going over to a nice feathered brush like this. I'm just going to do a little bit of erasing there, see?
Oh, yeah.
So now there's going to be a little bit more blending. So pro tip, obviously, right there. So now we've got this these eyebrows, and they will, let me turn on my eyebrow-less Nic Cage. Now we have the eyebrow-less version here. So you'll be
able to liquefy or just transform, like scale up from the top of that layer and get some nice eyebrow action going on.
Precisely. And then the next cool thing you could do is you could, on this face layer right here, I could just select that area right here, generative fill, and say,
yes, Hashi.
Blinking.
Oh, okay. Or closed, maybe.
I've had more success with blink than I have with eyes closed.
Really?
And I don't know why. I think the eyes closed, it always has like very realistic like eyelashes and like close up. Like I don't know what about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
I mean, he's been stung by a bee, but otherwise fine.
So that is a little bit ridiculous. So you could either like accept this result, liquefy it back into place. I do that sometimes. In fact, over here on this screen, since we were just talking about, since you might have seen this promo online, I did just record myself making this digital puppet, so you could see all of the different little stages that. So look, I had some trouble with the eyes here.
Yeah.
And then eventually ended up using a weird compromise to get my blinked eyes in this situation. So we're going to get to all of this kind of crazy stuff in a little while, this nightmarish.
I mean, I see some depth mats going on. I see some puppet pinning going on. You got a lot going on. We've got an hour left to show it all off, so I think we're doing good for time.
We are. So we have Nicolas Cage. We're trying to make a little digital puppet of Nicolas Cage, and we have we're trying to generate some eye blinks because you would be eerie if you didn't blink. Hey, look at that. Those look like real. Oh, pretty.
Dude,
it always has one.
Definitely not that one.
Okay, so I feel like somewhere between here and here is what is what I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's see. I can duplicate that, right? And then I will let me rasterize this layer. That's these closed eyes. And I'm going to look at this other version of closed eyes right here. I'm going to rasterize that. Is there a better way to go with your choice and apply the mask as one step, or is that not a thing?
I don't know, actually. Saxum13, what training library does Adobe use for generative fill using Stolen 1.2? No, Adobe is not using stolen art for theirs. It's one of the things that makes them very different from the other generating AI things. Adobe is only trained on the Adobe stock library, which is what people have given Adobe permission to use artificial. Yeah. And another thing I should mention while we're on the topic of AI and being ethical is that Adobe is making intentional efforts to be more inclusive. I've talked about this on the show before, but if you type in, for example, doctor on Adobe Firefly, where you're just generating completely from scratch, unlike here in Photoshop. So you're on Adobe Firefly website, you type in the word doctor as the prompt, in lab or whatever. A lot of other AI tools will just give you a bunch of old white guys, which for one is incorrect because the majority of medical doctors in the U.S. are of Indian descent now. But but regardless, it's just obviously wrong. Like that's not what you want because it's very biased towards old white guys. Whereas on an Adobe Firefly, you type in doctor, you're going to get maybe one white guy, but you're going to get at least one woman, possibly two, maybe even more. And people are going to be all kinds of different colors besides just the one, which I very much appreciate that they are very intentionally attempting to avoid bias. The problem does happen, though. Sometimes it is excessively so. In the case of someone I know typed in trying to get Bigfoot doing something, and one of the big feet that Firefly provided them with was, in fact, a human woman wearing hairy pants.
Well,
it tried.
All right. So if you watch the replay of what I was doing, basically I liked two of the results and blended them together. And the only issue was that they didn't feel very aligned with where they were supposed to be. So I went in and liquefied them a little bit more into place. These look more like Nicolas Cage, like peacefully closed eyes to me. So I love that. So we'll call this the blink layer. And so we have two stages of this. So like for a stylized puppet, that is really cool.
I have to say, they've got the shadow of the closed eyes like happening, which is neat.
Isn't that cool? Like this one's maybe a little bright comparatively, something could be going on there. But either way, one really interesting thing to note here is that, you could totally have it stylized animation where it blinks on and off like that. Or you could do this bizarro situation where I'm going to, let's see, grab just this section maybe, and I will, let's copy this, and I'll make a new little teeny file. It's just 176 of the blinking eyes with a face. And then right here, I'll copy this, which I think is, I guess it's just one layer. So I'll copy, we'll go into here, and we'll paste this. And watch this. I'm going to save this one under Digital Puppets, Elements. Let's, let's save this as a PNG. Let's do a quick export as Nic I1. And then we'll call this Nic I2. And then we are going to use a fun, another tool, because today is supposed to be full of more tools than you've ever heard of in your life. And that's why I tried really hard to get them on screen at the beginning. So you can look at that little section and say, okay, I want to try that thing. Where is it? And it's probably because it's somewhere. Okay, I guess I'll log in over here. 1 second. We're over on runwayml.com. And I think, great. So this is the area where we can use Gen 2, which is the generating video with text prompts that all the kids are wild about. Actually, it's probably less all the kids, and it's more like all like the 40-year-old like empty nesters or something like that that are VFX artists using it. But anyway, if you go to Runway ML and you have I just have a free account, and I can just go over here and say interpolate. Here we go. Frame interpolation, an AI magic tool. And I will click right here, and I will say, let's find my Nic I1 and Nic I2. So it's just those two images. It'll load them in like this. And then clip duration, 10 seconds. That's very long. So I'm just going to say, let's make this 3 seconds. And I'm going to say,
a very long blink.
Generate. And it'll do this very quickly. So hopefully, like this may totally not work. This might be creepy. But, oh, it's creepy. Darn.
I feel like that's the tagline for every AI video thing.
This might
could work
be creepy.
Or it could be creepy.
All right. So apparently we needed a squint pose in there. Oh, well. I was able to use that technique with George Lucas right here because I created an open mouth and a closed mouth and then did frame interpolation, which maybe we can try that with our Nic puppet as well. Because we've got the smile here. But let's make a talking mouth now. Generative fill, talking. And I like starting with like the simplest word possible. just because I feel like maybe it's less guidance and it'll go more wild. I don't know. Instead of getting really, really detailed with my prompts in Photoshop. Okay, this open mouth might be a good next step of that if I just use the teeth.
Please don't use those teeth.
Oof. Okay, so let's, how about this? Since the stubble and stuff is getting lost, how about we just select this area right here and say, okay, I'll type yelling mouth. Again, all of these incremental little bits. There we go. It's perfect.
No notes. There we go. That one's better.
I buy that.
Yeah.
So all we got to do is try to line up the teeth now. Why do we line up the teeth, Michael? What, the front teeth?
Because unlike how a lot of people do actual puppets, when you're talking, the upper jaw does not move. It is only the lower jaw. That's where the hinge happens here, moves this down. This top part stays connected to the rest of your skull and doesn't move. I know a lot of people, when they first start out with regular puppets, like, for like children's church or what, or kids TV or whatever, like they do this because it's a lot easier to move your fingers up like that. But that is not how people talk. So you have to learn when you're doing puppetry to move just your thumb as much as possible, and only the top part a little bit, or as little as possible. Pro tip for you burgeoning puppeteers out there. Wavy D, yes, this is Nic Cage as a Ken doll.
All right, so it looks like to have a proper open mouth. So look at that. So here's lining up those two front teeth. Like, they're not colored the same, but I don't really mind. But what I do realize I need is I can be informed by this mouth shape what should have happened to the jaw and create my own jaw for this situation. So I'm going to grab original Nic Cage. I'm going to duplicate a little copy of just that little bit, and then using this this open mouth as the example, I'm just going to go do a little filter liquefy of the underlying thing here. And one fun thing about liquefy in Photoshop is that there's this show backdrop button right here. So we're trying to liquefy this image, but if you say show backdrop, you can choose a different layer over here. So for example, I can choose my generative layer 5, which is the open mouth. I can turn its opacity all the way up to 100%, and say that it should be in front of the image. You could also have this behind or blended or whatever. And now I have a reference right here for how much that mouth opens in the liquefy interface. So now I could go to here. You want to do as big a brush as you can get away with, honestly. And then, whoops, the backdrop settings are preventing you. Why are the backdrop settings preventing me from doing something in front? Why are they doing anything? Oh, I guess because it thinks that 100% you can't see it, or it's replacing everything. That doesn't make any sense. That's weird. Okay, so I am now going to just try to shape the Nic Cage jaw to look like it's opening a little bit like that. Okay, it fits that a little bit more. And what happens if I repeat liquefy? There we go. So now let's marry these two together. This is going to be jank and amazing. So now we have that. Oh, so great. Okay, so obviously we need to do a little bit of touch up here. We want to probably keep the top lip. This is very terrible. I'm so sorry, everybody. Oh gosh, what did I do?
We're just showing the basic techniques.
We're showing the basic techniques. You could fiddle with this all you want and get a better result. But did you know that within the liquefy effects, you can do something like this. Watch if I went and decided to liquefy just this face in general. Oh, oops. That always gets me. I always do the last command instead of finding liquefy. All right. So sometimes like the classic, like Kai Power Tools things that you wanted to do to someone like this, or if you're making a thumbnail for the YouTubes, is you come in here and you go oh yeah, I want big eyes and I want to make the nose all funny and stuff like that. But let me revert this whole thing. And look at this. Over here, there's this whole collapsed little thing called Face Aware Liquefy. Have you played with this, anyone? It's great.
You can add, look at
it.
Everything you'd want to do, but without you having to fuss with liquefying it yourself.
Yeah, so you can link the eye size together and then dial up or dial down the eyes. You can make the eyes taller. You can make them shorter. You can link them together and tilt the eyes inward, outward, do stuff like that. You can do nose up and down, nose width, back and forth. Look at this. It's just a nice, really quick way to be able to grab some of this stuff. You can mess with the lips. You can mess with the jawline if you want it to be wider, thinner. You can deal with the face width, forehead increase. Oh, there. See that now it's reading as Nic Cage.
Yes.
But look at this. Mouth height moves those lips and keeps the teeth there. That's so cool. And then you can you can basically make different expressions. If you were making look at that smile, no smile.
Yeah.
So you could use all of these kinds of things to pop out a bunch of different varieties of shapes for something like Adobe Character Animator, or for a situation like this where we're going to take them and layer them up together. So I'm going to say that for now, since we have this beautiful, I forgot we had 2 stages of open mouths. Okay, so this one is the one that we're going to use. I'm going to try to, I'm going to transform this back just a little bit like this, and then erase some of this excess stuff.
Chris Ranos says, hasn't seen Face Aware Liquefy. It's really helpful. Yes, it is. For Good Chill Weather says, Kai Power Tools reference. Next, you'll be using Bryce 3D. We do not hate ourselves that much.
Oh, Bryce 3D. Bryce. Let's see. Oh, did I just undo my whole line up the teeth thing? Yep, I totally did. Fine. Okay, here's the thing. I erased too much of the jawline. I just got to paint it back by using the smudge brush at 100%. This is stupid. I don't care about the mouth. I'm not gonna deal with that. We're going to show you the next really cool thing that I really like to do. So here is Nicolas Cage, and here are Photoshop's neural filters up here. I'm going to select that layer, then I'm going to go to Filter, Neural Filters, and I'm going to use one of my favorite ones. And hopefully it does a good job. So I'm going to go over to, where'd it go? Depth blur. Sorry, it's right there. Depth blur. I'm going to turn on depth blur, and we've temporarily disabled this filter because of an error.
Well, that's annoying.
That is annoying. Is it refreshable? There are other ways I can do this. I just really don't want to.
Brian Smith says the liquefy face having the ability to keyframe that would be cool. Indeed, it would.
Indeed, it would. And in fact, we're going to do some similar things anyway. Okay. Sorry, Photoshop. I was going to show that you could do this all with just Photoshop, but now we're going to have to do this. Okay, new project. Might as well save. I don't know. That sounds exciting. Okay, elements. Okay, digital puppets, AE projects. Let's call this Nic. All right, and let's import. Have we saved this Photoshop file at all? Anytime when we were working on it? Accept the fill? Yeah, accept the fill. Okay, so I'm really curious about if why did I think I was closing it? I don't know. All right, let's open up our Nic puppet in After Effects and see if we can get some of the same results that we wanted to get. Nic puppet prep. Oh no, did I say no? Did I just close? Oh, did my erroring out? No, Nic puppet prep is still here. Okay, save. Yeah, okay, I thought so. Sorry, everybody. This is very intense. We thought we might have lost our file, but we're going to import it as composition. Always composition retain layer sizes. You don't want to be resizing an eyebrow that's the size of the whole document. All right, here we go. So I'm going to try doing something in here. Let's add a, I guess we could just add it right to this thing. I'm going to use one of my Blaze plugins called Depth Scanner. And when I do that, you'll see what it does in just a moment as it loads up. This is a GPU-heavy plugin, so I'm going to try to make sure that it's doing okay. Maybe I'll close this thing that's running in the background. Probably a little bit wild. Yes, I'll save the top half of my face there. Okay, closing down After Effects, closing down Photoshop, just to give my video card a little bit of its space back. No. Ah! Whoa! We're in my mail. Okay. Oh, I crashed After Effects. But at least it gave me the option to disable my plugins when I came back.
That's nice of it.
That is kind of it. I'm
And we
curious.
can all decide, does that say glow? Does that say lower? Does that say Louvre? What is it?
Oh, yeah.
I was question what the splash screen says. Where is Seth? Seth is on vacation. I make videos. Wavy D says, I'm a passionate YouTuber making a new YouTube intro. How do you chain together multiple animations from Mixamo in Cinema 4D?
You want to see that?
I was gonna say there's a tutorial on someone did on the old Cineversity on doing that. You basically make a you can actually save animations from Mexico as basically like little motion clips.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little motion editor in Cinema 4D that's pretty much like Premiere Pro with like crossfades and everything. And you can then kind of add all the motion clips together that you want and have a full performance from your 3D character just from Mixamo, and just mix them all together.
Yeah,
On top of that,
some more.
Mixamo to mix them all. On top of that, you also have the Mixamo control rig, so you can take a Mixamo animation into Cinema 4D, then add your own animation on top of it fairly easily.
All right, we're going to see. There we go. There's Depth Scanner. All right, it did something weird. I don't know why I did this. I'm assuming there's some weird alpha channel information here. So Photoshop is supposed to do this within its depth blur interface, but it was not for me today. So that's why I'm doing this style. So I'm running the plugin by Blaze called Depth Scanner. And what it does is it tries to come up with a depth map of any image that you throw at it. So in this case, here's this Nic Cage thing. I don't know why it added a border. Like, it just feels like it needed to have something there. But right within this interface, I can say things like I can multiply the depth, try to find an area where there's a good high dynamic range. You can also say I want this depth to be guided. So instead of just the raw result, I could say guided. And in that case, I can take an area that I consider the furthest back that I want, like, which is probably this elbow right here. And then another spot that is the thing that I want the most forward, which is probably like the nose or something. Somewhere in here, maybe. And I can take these sliders, I guess, and I'll try to put them right here. Oh, that's a good depth map. I really love like a nice dynamic range. in my depth map, something like this.
DJ,
so
I can't hear you.
The issue with this is that
Your
this
face is
weird
smushed.
thing around the outside is really not helping anyone. It would be better if the whole thing were black back here. So what I'm going to do is just add a new solid
Go upstairs, push
right
it one
here.
time, and then come back down here with it.
And in fact,
Sorry about that.
you could be playing around and doing some fun stuff like this with Lockdown too. All right, we're just going to do a little subtract. This is all going to be worth it, I promise. So we're kind of modifying our, whoops, how did that jump up so high so quickly? Okay, so here's our modified depth map, because depth maps are always good to have sort of editable somewhere. So let's save this random image as Nic depth. And then on top of that, I'm going to grab that rendered layer and make it its own pre-comp like this, because I might need to modify a few things. So if you don't know or haven't seen on our show, the coolest thing about depth maps is that if I go over to my Nic puppet now, let's go to this Nic puppet. Let's get rid of, okay, let's go to the layer with all this stuff in it. If I throw a top adjustment layer in here and I bring in this depth pre-comp, I don't even need to do anything with it. I can just hide it and then refer to it on this adjustment layer by when I add a distort displacement map effect. And then in here, I will select Nic depth, and not just source, I'm going to select effects and masks. And that's because I know from experience that I'm going to need to go to this depth map and likely add a fast blur to it. It always is helpful. So I'm going to add, by default, a fast box blur. If you're doing a stereoscopic thing, you only need to blur it horizontally. If you want to do 3D stuff like we're about to, get excited, you could turn up the blur radius in general to kind of a Gaussian level like that. I mean, this isn't Gaussian. It's distinctly not Gaussian. I don't know why I said that. So let's hide the depth map, go to our adjustment layer, and now check out this business. Let's set the horizontal and vertical to displacement mode. Let's say 0. Let's zero them out. Oh, let's do my favorite thing. I'm going to add a null object, and it's going to put it right here in Nic's crotch, which is fun. I'm going to put it right here instead. Then you take any null, duplicate the null, and parent it to its old self. Oh, not track mount it, parent it. Then we'll call this part the move me, and then I'll hide this null. And now I'm going to go up here to my adjustment layer, and for the horizontal displacement, I am going to grab the position X, and then for my vertical displacement, I'm going to alt-click, add an expression, and pick whip to position Y. And I'll show you why I did that, because this is so fun. Now, I have this null right here, and watch this. Okay, so what is happening is it's using that displacement map. It doesn't work flawlessly from every angle, but what it does, which is pretty cool, is it gives us a good 10 degrees of rotation on this to add a lot more depth to this character than it had before. One thing that you could do in the expressions, and I often actually do, is make these negative values. And I might say negative 0.2 times this result on both of these. Negative 0.2 times that. And so in case you didn't follow that, we have our image, our Photoshop file with all of these other layers. And here I have the brows in there and the blinking eyes and stuff like that, so we can make this character blink and stuff. But above all that, I have an adjustment layer, which is displacing this character by using a depth map that we output. Now, this depth map you should be able to get in the neural filters in Photoshop or on a variety of websites. You could go to the collab file for -3 and get these for free if you need them, but hopefully Photoshop will have them back up and running soon. So once I did all that, then I grabbed a null object. I parented it to another one. And the reason I did that is because when it's parented to another one, it means that its default values are 0 for the position, like where it started. We're just 0. So
great tip.
You could put it technically up here and use the actual comp 0, but I just like to be able to have it closer to the object. And by using a small increment like -0.2 as a multiplier for both of those results, you'll see that now the directionality of where I move this is more associated with where this thing is. Isn't that cool? And the weirdest thing about him is when he gets extended outside of himself like that. So one thing that we could possibly do is, since this is the displacement map is sourcing the effects and masks, you can see that if I had no blur on there at all, here is what it would look like. Kind of weird, right? Like there's some of the depth is there, but you get a weirder thing. And then as you turn up the blur on the depth map, you'll see that it starts to sort of warp them together. And so the blurrier it is, the less defined your displacement map is necessarily, but the less weird, like clipping or whatever you would call that. I don't know what you'd call that, like when videos are like looping through each other, the whole like flow motion kind of effect. But I'm going to stick with like 20 pixels of blur, and then I kind of like this amount of depth that I'm getting on them. And I can maybe add some curves onto the depth map. You don't even need to see these. You can just have them in the background and go color correction, curves. And let's see. What do I want to do? I want to, okay. You can see as I do that, like starting from outside toward his insides, you can kind of like flatten one section of the depth map. So actually what I want to do is I want to raise it up. And so that fall off at the edge of him, I think, is less. Let's test. Okay, so can you all see what that did? So the curves here, I'll go to an extreme example to show.
I love that hair. No, go back the other way. The hair was fantastic. That was very Nic Cage blowing in the wind hair. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Look, we've created exactly that Con Air meme.
Yes.
Which Con Air, a fantastic movie that I've not seen since it came out, but I remember fondly, and it's probably full of problematic stuff. I don't know.
Ooh, Chris is suggesting maybe putting a gray background for the depth map instead of a black one.
That's a good point too. You can do that. Let's see. Let's do that. Let's go to here and let's say, is this since I have my Nic puppet, let me find that layer and use it as its own thing. Let's see. Where is this Nic? Again, I forgot to name these properly. Let's go to the Nic depth. Let's paste it there. And then we'll use that as a alpha matte. And then we'll add a new solid that is
come here for
gray.
a second. Sorry about that.
So you're going to say 50% brightness right there. And then put that behind everything. And so now what's going to happen is anything that is 50% gray isn't going to move at all. So you're going to get this haunted mansion thing where instead of the edges of him stretching out like that, watch this. Now he will like disappear into himself, I think. So let me unblur that a little bit and see. Oh yeah, there we go. I mean, look, this is a totally passable dance situation here. Okay. One thing that I really like to do, and this actually helps out a lot, is that if I had a whole depth map for a body like this, I could duplicate this gray layer, which is going to say, don't do anything here. and then do a little, so I'll mask off the bottom of it like that, and then feather that off right here or so. And so I'm just kind of getting the, actually, I should probably do a circle mask inverted, right? A little ellipse. Let's do that. I could add gray all around everything except for the head and a teeny tiny bit of the neck. And now if I go back to my puppet, look at this. If I want to move this move me null, I can select the null that it was parented to. Now I can move that up here to anywhere in the comp. I'll move it right to the head just because that'll be more visually proper for me. Then I can hide null one again, leave the move me null here, and look at this now.
That gives you just a head control.
Just the head.
Very handy.
So let me
wait,
this a little
so
bit.
could you have both of them going, so head and body separate?
So you totally could. So here we have, just want to delete that. So the, he's like sniffing after this like bee. I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, the other one thing that is lovely is that you can keyframe animation, or you could totally do some expression-driven stuff. So I could add like a wiggle.
Wiggle.
Yeah. So let's move that, but let's see. Let's not do too much. Let's do a wiggle by 1 by like 50, and then we'll put it back. Let's see, where was the target again? The target is right between the eyebrows. So right
0, 0.
There we go. So now look. So now he'll just be sitting there sniffing and enjoy. I feel like I should never be open. Actually, he could just be blissfully enjoying this moment.
You can make him like a bop to the beat. You can do all kinds of cool stuff.
You really
with like a
could.
loop out cycle, or I mean, all kinds of things.
Oh yeah. So like, let's do. So if the head was up, and then let's do down really quickly. Let's see. Let's do a quick bob down, and then return up to original position. Let's see what I want to do. I want to ease out of this one. I want this ease out. I want this one ease in. And then let's loop those two. Oh, let's see. What do I want to do? If I want to use the wiggle also, it means that I want to, whoops. Okay, After Effects geniuses, we can do this, right? We want to go to Property, Loop Out. So we could have this. So it could just be, you know, bop in Cage. Ding, ding. That's kind of nice.
He's just chilling to the groove.
Chilling. So he could be chilling to lo-fi beats. And then on top of this, I think I can say semicolon, and then can I just add wiggle on top of it? No, it's overriding wiggle. I need to, can I say value dot wiggle? No. Nuts. There's something I can do to do this. No, value wiggle's not a result. Oh, can I say loop out and then dot wiggle? Man.
Loop plus wiggle minus value.
Plus wiggle?
Loop plus wiggle minus value. So make the loop out thing be its own variable. So loop equals loop out, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Just to make it easier for yourself.
So loop equals... so loop equals that. And then value... wiggle, or can I just do wiggle now?
Well, you need to take wiggle minus the value.
Wiggle 1 by 50 minus value.
Yeah, so you would have like loop equal loop out, blah, 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 semicolon, wiggle equal, or wiggler or wiggly or cage wiggles, whatever, equals your wiggle thing,
Oh, you're
semicolon.
right.
And then just put, so Nick loop equals your loop out expression, semicolon. Nick wiggles equals whatever wiggle expression you want, semicolon. Then just Nick loop plus Nick wiggle minus value.
Let's see, I'll call it loopy, I think. There we go. Now
minus value.
Like a little bit of wiggle, but it's doing the bob. I like this. And in fact, we could, let's see, what is it like when his eyes are open? Just as off-putting. Oh my gosh. I really love this vibe in Cage. I don't know why it's so, it makes me so happy. I'm going to slow down the loop again a little bit because I think I had it at a good spot and then I tried speeding it up for fun. Make it more percussive. Ding. Oh, I've lost it.
You could do loop. You could do loop plus wiggle minus value also works and might give you a slightly different look. But I think it's good. Like I'm enjoying this Nic Cage listening to jazz, as John R. Robeck suggests.
It is pretty great. And now, what I would usually do is once I get to this stage, I could use adjustment layers, but also I start to get confused myself. So let's call this adjustment layer. We'll call this the depth turn because this is the and this is what's allowing that to happen. And then we could do another adjustment layer. And over here in our Nic depth where we've isolated the head, let's call this comp Nic depth head. And then down here, we'll make a duplicate of it. We'll call that Nic depth body. And I'm going to keep them separate, I think, because I think I don't want to compound the areas. So if I open up, look, I remembered to open up the new comp that I made instead of editing the one that I was already in.
That's a pro mistake right there.
All right, so now we have just the body, okay? So now if we came back into here and added another adjustment layer, actually, let's see, let's copy in Nic depth body, and we'll have this also be blurred like that. So you can't see either of these, but up at the top, there's the body and the head. And in fact, I usually like putting them at the bottom. I don't know why. It feels safer. And then you could put these all in the same adjustment layer, I guess. So displacement head is that. And then let's add another one. I'm going to do a separate one that's not linked. And we'll do body, and we'll do luminance and luminance. And let's zero these out for a moment. Oh, yes. Okay.
There we go. He's got the shimmy.
Okay, so on that, on the horizontal, let's do some math dot sine, maybe? Wait, no. What am I thinking? Math sine of time times like 4, maybe? Oh, and then that's got to be times a higher amplitude too. Times maybe.
Oh yeah, that is the Shaq
15?
shimmy according to Andrew Smith.
The Shaq shimmy. Okay, let's see. Shaq shimmy is turned up to more like that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like who's the Jim Carrey character in Toy Story 4? That was a walk to get to that question. Okay, actually, since I'm just using horizontal, I'm just going to turn the fast box blur to just horizontal, and I'm going to turn up the blur amount to like 30, so I'm getting the whole. Yes. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. And what's fantastic about this is that all of this is using no, some keyframeage. Oh man, I was gonna separate the legs, but I love the little booty jiggle too with it. Okay, so the boots. Do we need to?
I'm sorry. Did you say booty jiggle? Talking about his boots?
No, the booty jiggle and the boots, like as two
Oh, okay.
two separate
Okay.
but lovely boot related entities. Let me delete this mask and let's do this and feather this out. So by his feet touching the ground, they're all the way back to gray. Okay, so I think what that will do is this. Yes. Okay, I know that I feel like I built up this episode a lot for this to be where we're ending up. I feel like this needs to become a microphone, though, now, right? Like that clearly should be a microphone, and dude should be in a let's see. Imagine a night club with cool lights and dancing. Cool light, empty nightclub with cool lights. Let's see what we get here. So we can create a background here, and then we'll grab Nic Cage here. We've got to add that microphone here, and we've got to blur out this hand a little bit more. Oh yeah, you know what? If like Michael, can you think of any way to just like blur a spot of something?
Oh, a spot blur,
Like if you had to just blur like one specific spot, and like you just wanted like an easy control over it. Oh,
easily blur one spot in the universe.
Look at that. There we go. Feather that out a little bit. It's like an interactive compound map. You can just do exactly what you need it to do. Let's turn up the blur amount. Let's do that. Let's try that. Let's see how that hands over to our puppet now. There we go. Now we're not getting that weird distortion.
Yes, much better.
Okay, so now we've got the booty shake. I think that what we need on top of this is an additional... I'll have to think of how to do that. I want to exaggerate the hip turning here, just in the center. So I think I can think of one way to do it. It'll take a second. But let's see what Midjourney came up with in the meantime. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, everybody.
Solid. Although those are all very much the same type of nightclub. It did not give you variations. This is all like cyberpunk nightclub. Like you didn't get 70s or 80s nightclub at all in here.
What era do you think that Nic Cage should be in this setup?
Barbie's heyday,
80s?
80s, 90s, one of those two.
All right, so let's do...
Andy nightclub from the 1990s. I don't think you need to say cool lights. I think nightclub gives you cool lights for free.
Let's see. Empty.
Those are very cool lights, though. Midjourney is correct.
From the 1990s. This is going to be very exciting. So we'll wait for that in the meantime. And then my other idea is I'm curious if I did an additional, like if I copied this one here and then gray out. Oh, you know what I need? I know what I'm going to do. Instead of adding additional depth to this, up on this empty top adjustment layer, I'm going to add distort. I think CC, is it Bend It or Bender? Bender?
I can never remember.
Marilyn. Okay, so Marilyn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, display these points. Basically, the whole distort category is your huge friend for any of this kind of stuff. It's lovely. You can use all of these to varying crazy degrees. So if I put this at his head and this at his feet, I think Marilyn does this. And then I think, let's see, Boxer moves like the top half back and forth. And Sharp is just like, is that, right? and bend is more like you go wild like that, right? But if you want a true like curve kind of bend, then you want to use bend it like Beckham. So for this, you put the this point, the bottom point, wherever you want the bend to start. And then this is a weird thing about it. I don't know exactly why it works this way, but it eliminates some of the image until you're tall enough for it to happen. And so now if you do bend it like that, now it's a great like curvy type of look. He's gleefully jumping. But you could, instead of saying legal, you can say extended, I think. Or maybe it's not extended. No. Is it just a different thing? Oh, bend. Instead of bend, it's static. There we go. Static will keep the bottom half static. And it's just the greatest. Let's see. Let's get some. Where is the right?
That's bad. That's a lot closer to where it should be for sure.
It's pretty good. So what I'm going to do on the bend amount is, let's see. Let's open up our depth turn expression. So this was the math one. So I'm going to copy this expression. Actually, I'll link it. Why not?
Linking it's a good idea because that way if you change it.
So let's link it to, where is it? Okay, so you can see what we're doing is trying to link as many things together as we can. So this is going to be too much at first. Okay, so that's wild. I don't like that. But what we can do is we can say this could be this times, I don't know, like 0.2 times that. And now you're combining a depth turn and a thing like that. Maybe I could say a negative value. Let's see if a negative result looks more natural. There we go. Now we're getting like a nice rock. We're getting the head bobbing. Back on the move me thing, we can change that wiggle to be a little bit of a higher value. Let's try 90 instead of 50. Let's see if we get bigger head bops. Okay, this is exciting. I love that I came in all like, I was so excited to do like honor the great puppeteers of the past episode with Sesame Street things, and then we've just pivoted hard into Nic Cage in a dance club. Thank you all for sticking around, those of you who are here. Let's see, 90s. Oh wow, it's the Echoplex in LA. Let's see which one would we like to see Nick dancing in? I think I kind of like the reflective nature of this floor. It's so depressing. So let's upres that. And I know that there are these other things to say, like aspect ratio or whatever. I don't want to deal with any of that right now.
Adrian Jensen Custom Collectibles mentions if you add -- chaos 50 or some other number to Midjourney, it will give you some more random results for future note for yourself. -- chaos then a number.
Thank you. I do like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our 1x1 comp, and we'll grab, which is let's call this Dancing Nick. Save that. Let's go to the dance club. Let's bring Dancing Nick in. Excellent. Excellent.
If only there was a quick, easy way to get a reflection.
That would be really nice, because like he's not super married to the space right now. I love that it was going to be like a nightclub with like lights and stuff, but instead it's just this empty hall. I kind of like him being that tall. It should be about this big, right? Okay, so let's do.
Good.
It would be really cool if you could just say like a reflection, and then suddenly have a reflection wherever you wanted if you unchecked this clip to bounding box button. And look at that, he's reflecting on the floor. But Michael, this is a silly reflection. This is not what reflections look like.
No,
What could we do? Could we maybe add
certainly-
some softness to it so it's more diffuse, like
soft
the
would
way
be
these
good.
lights are
Yeah.
going? That's
That'd be
nice.
great
And it
if you
gets
could do that.
sharper right
That
to
is
where
nice.
the boots, which is nice, which
And
are
realistic.
missing feet. Sorry. But you know what would be kind of cooler too is if I could set the dance club as a displacement map. So I could add a little bit of vertical displacement, which will look like, whoops. Do like
You
8
may be
pixels.
running into the issues that I covered in a recent Tip Tuesday post
Oh yeah,
for
and
this one.
I think I even covered them in the.
I don't think you even need to do the bump, but I do think Chris Ferranos is saying it would be if only we had a super easy way to comp the light wrap.
That would be very, very nice. Wait, what did I just do? Wait, did I?
To turn your bump map, I think.
Where's the? Okay, I want to be in the dance club. So does everybody. And what did I freeze my video card? Are we still
I think so
streaming?
because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting anything from you.
Maybe I should close Cinema 4D since I'm not doing anything. There we go. Are we live again?
For a split second, your screen updated.
Right. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. There's Dancing Nick. Let's pre-compose him so he's just smaller within this. So we'll move everything over to the new one. So now
I'm waiting to see if the stream is still going.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me see
Nope.
if I can.
Looks like it killed it. Maybe. Oh wait, no.
It thinks it is.
It's almost.
It thinks it still is.
All right, I think we're back.
Okay, so we'll turn up the softness on this reflection. We'll turn down its opacity a bit. So we just get a little bit of that. There we go. So here's some amazing Nic Cage action. And one fun tip if you're doing something like this, this dance club, you could do. Let's see. Let me add that depth scanner to it real quick. Let's export that as a still frame. Dance club depth. Let's render that out. We don't have to, and then we can delete that effect because we don't need it to be sucking out the GPU's energy. We'll put the dance club depth down here. We'll put Nic Cage right here. And then on the dance club itself, let's add distort displacement map. And we'll add some blur to the depth map a little bit, just about 10 or 15 pixels worth. And then let's turn these both to 0. Let's change them to luminance. And now look at this. Now we should be able to, select the depth map, effects and masks. There we go.
Nice.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at this craziness. So let's I'm gonna scale this up here. I'm gonna give myself a more of a filmic ratio here. This is the worst way to work, everyone, but I kind of like it. So let's add.
Now we don't even see our reflection.
Oh. Okay. Well, actually, no. We'll add it back in. We'll do this. We'll spin the room a little bit like that over the course of let's say 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's press N. Let's end there, and then we can reposition this, right? So let's do. So now I just need to. I think one of the things we'll find out is he standing where like neutral gray is, or is he going to be? Oh, he kind of is.
Yeah, it works out so good.
Oh gosh, I hope you're all so thankful for your newfound
Can you just
ability.
super comp real quick? Like we're right at the hour mark, but can you just real quick super comp
Oh yeah.
him so he's a little more in the room.
We absolutely
Lighting's pretty
could.
good already, but just a
Okay.
little bit of a little something.
All right, I'm selecting these 2 layers, and then I'm going to Effect, RGVFX, Super Comp. And then it should look like nothing happens because these 2 layers will just go up into Super Comp, which is cool. So here I can say, let's find a frame where the like lighting effect, I don't know. We'll just grab this frame. We'll go to Nic Cage. We'll go to his color correction. I'll click on the match background button. And now look, suddenly he's in the era. And it is great. And we were so happy about it. I really do lament not just getting the tip of his boots there, but that is pretty lovely.
Okay, just a little light wrap and we're good.
Oh yes, where are we? Let's go up to here. Oh man, I want that light to get to his face. It's almost there. Okay, let's let's look at the presets right here because there's probably just a nice lighting. I don't know, maybe not. Should have just manually added it. Okay, light wrap to a high degree. Or he's color matched, he's vibing, he's hanging out. Michael, I feel like I need something extra. I like to think that he's just dancing to like Barbie girl all by himself in this room. But also doesn't care.
He's so ready.
Doesn't care. There's
ready.
Nothing.
It's so good.
Don't knock this situation. Oh, wow. Well, everybody, I feel like we are nearly at time here.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Wow. There were so many things that I had on my document. Remember I was freaking out this morning? There's so many things. Look at all this material that I wanted to cover today.
Oh, hey, Lockdown 3.
What do we have to do to get all that information out to the people? Anyway, thank you so much for coming and watching VFX and Chill, especially when it's just one half of us and a reasonably competent show. But thank you very much. I hope that you learned about a technique that you're curious to go explore. If you make anything really cool, that stuff, please do share it with us. Hashtag VFX and Chill on the social platform of your choice. And tag any of us in any of those things like that so we can see your cool material because we love taking a look at it. I believe that we are back next week with Seth Worley, hopefully the real Seth Worley, and we can have a competently produced show. And I'll make sure that he loads up that dancing sticker extra large for y'all when we come back. Michael, is there anything that you want to make sure people check out?
Well, people like tuning in here for our irreverent and slightly against the company attitude, and so I'm not going to do anything evil or bad or give any sort of hints about any particular updates that might be coming out anytime soon or anything.
No, we can't, unfortunately. Otherwise, we would.
No, we can't get very specific about what particular updates might be coming out next week.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious. Just before we go, I feel like some wave warp that is wide but also no. I am so excited for this. Okay, let's see. The speed should be about. It's got to be slow enough to be just right. Let me. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna kill these other wiggles a little bit. No, I'm gonna kill some of them. I think it's too much. I like the head. Oh, you're so welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea, everybody. It's the things you can accomplish with a little bit of wave warp and, 20 years of compositing experience just thrown at this. Let's see. Can we maximize that? Oh. I feel like this communicates the same feel as that Con Air GIF. So I'm just happy that we've put another breath of fresh air GIF out there into the world. Anyway, thank you, everybody. This is VFX and Chill. No crazy outro because I didn't produce the show particularly well today. So I'm just going to stop the stream. Bye.